Hey guys, Chris again from ClassicVWBugs.com, and here we have a 1959 Beetle, and that I'm restoring, I'm putting back together, and I'm getting a lot of questions about oil leaks and such. I know a lot of Volkswagens are known for leaving their spots, so they say, and I'm going to get underneath the car right now, and I'm going to show you some of the common areas where the oil drips from, and can point out to you exactly what that means and where it's coming from. Okay, so here we are underneath the bug, and what I want to point out is we always like to jack our cars up by the horseshoe there, so at least the stands and the jack is out of the way when we come underneath the car. So what you want to do is get yourself a dirty rag, wipe everything down first. A few minutes later, come back and check where the oil is dripping from. Common areas, of course, over here. Okay, these little nuts on the oil strainer are loose. Sometimes there's no washers in there, and what you want to do is you want to get in there and tighten them down a little bit, but do not go too tight, because if you go too tight, those things can break right off. So when you use a ratchet, I put it on here, but it's a 10 millimeter, but as it's on there, just wrist tight. Hold the ratchet up high, or you could buy one of these little palm ratchets and tighten it that way. You do not want to use much force from the handle, because you'll wind up breaking those off. Also check the center nut as well. Some strainers don't have this. If it's still leaking, even when you tighten them down, it's a good indication that the gaskets are gone. So next time you take this down, do an oil change, put new gaskets in, get new washers and whatnot, and tighten that up. Another common area is right here. You'll see drips. If you see drips here, that's a good indication that your rear main seal on your engine is leaking. What does that mean? You're going to have to pull your engine. There is a seal you have to buy. It's a circular seal. Let me see if I can show you here what it looks like. Comes in a baggie like this. This is a rear main seal. Okay, they're only a couple bucks, but you're going to have to pull the engine out and take off the flywheel. So you take off the clutch, the pressure plate, and the flywheel, and that rear main seal is there. You pull that out, and then you have to put another one in. Okay, here's the back part of the engine here that I said that leaks often, is the rear main seal area. Here's the flywheel. Here's that big nut you would have to take off to get to the rear main seal that's on the engine. Like I said, this is the area where on the back nut it starts to drip, and you see right above it, of course, is the rear main seal area. You're going to have to get yourself a 36 millimeter heavy duty socket with a breaker bar, and you're going to have to put that on the back nut. But you're also going to have to get a tool like this that mounts into the back part of the engine here and grabs the teeth of the flywheel, so you'll have leverage to loosen that nut. If you don't have this tool or something similar to it, it's going to be real tough to get that nut off, and you're going to need like an end of a jack handle to go over the breaker bar, okay, to give yourself some leverage so you can loosen it up. But once you pull that off, you'll see the rear main seal, and then if it's leaking below it, you'll know that it needs to be changed. Also, while you have that off, there's a flywheel seal that goes inside the flywheel. This little O-ring goes inside this flywheel. You're going to want to change that too. I mean, you have it out, you might as well change it. So just check those areas. Another way you can also check if the rear main seal is leaking, if you don't want to take the flywheel off, is put oil into the engine, and then what you could do is on a tilt, put the engine back on a slant, and see if it's leaking. Over a few minutes, you'll know if the rear main seal is leaking. If when that engine is tilted, you'll realize then it's going to need to be changed. So another common area is if we back up here, you start to see oil here. Check your push rod tubes. Push rod tubes, I don't know if you can see these, they're right up here, right in here, this area. Sometimes those leak on the ends where the seals are, okay, where they meet the head, right over here and to this side. There's also rubber seals in there. They do sell kits today that are spring-loaded, that you do not have to pull the engine out to put those in. But we always like to pull our engine out and put new push rods in that are stock looking. I haven't heard many good things about the spring-loaded. They don't last very long, but just recently in Volksworld magazine they had a new spring-loaded push rod tubes that are really heavy-duty and really good to work with. So that might work as well. If you also see, if there's no oil from the push rod tubes, and you see oil down here, sometimes it's oil dripping from the oil cooler up above. There's little round seals that go on the oil cooler on the bottom of it, on the base of it, and that's another engine pull. So you're gonna have to pull the engine to do that. Okay, so here you see the fan shroud off of the engine. Let me see, I took the shroud off the engine right there. Here is your oil cooler right here. And what you're going to want to do is to check and see if there's leaks. You're going to want to unbolt this. This is a nut here, it looks like a 10mm. And take that off, and then take the oil cooler off, and then you'll see two spots there that need those little donuts seals to go on. Just check around here and see if it's leaking or whatnot. You'll tell if it's leaking. And like I said, when I was underneath the car and when I showed you, if it's leaking on this side of the engine, down on the push rod tubes, this is the area where the oil cooler sits, so it's a good chance that on this side of the engine, if you see leaks, it could be this. So I bought here an engine seal kit. I usually get these every time I pull the engine out of the car because we like to change all the seals and the gaskets and whatnot. And these are kind of what your oil seals, oil cooler seals would look like. Some are different. These are for more like the 1600, 1300, maybe 1500 seals. These are actually a little bit different than the other ones I just had. And then some of the earlier ones in the 1200 engines would have more of these donut type seals here. But anyways, I always buy these kits. It's just always good whenever you have the engine out of the car, just to change all the seals and the gaskets. Okay, sometimes you see oil dripping here along the bottom of the heat box. Sometimes that's a good indication that your valve cover gaskets are leaking. You got to take the valve cover off. You pull this down. One little tip that I've learned when pulling these down, a lot of people will use a screwdriver to pull this down. Actually, I've learned from an old German mechanic that I used to speak to. He would use an old rag and slip it in the hole here and pull it, and that's what pulls the clip off there. But check your valve cover gaskets inside here, and then make sure you use like a Permatex to seal that valve cover in place so it sticks nice and good in there. So that's another area that oil usually leaks from. Okay, so this is just a few pointers to look out for when you find that oil is dripping on your bug. It's very common for Volkswagens to drip. There's even a few times where we did pull the engine and we put a new rear main seal in, and we're still getting the drip by the back nut there by the strainer. But just keep an eye out. These are the common areas that are usually at fault here with the bug. So check your strainer again, check that back nut, check your oil cooler seals that are above the push rod tubes, and check your valve cover gaskets. That's usually the areas where the bug is always leaving his mark, as they say. So, alright, if you got any questions, Chris at classicvwbugs.com, or you can visit my website, www.classicvwbugs.com.